Hi, my name is Bernard Sabiti. I'm the author of UgLish, a dictionary of Ugandan English, which is basically a compilation of strange phrases and words that are used in Ugandan's everyday vocabulary, but which foreigners or people unfamiliar with the Ugandan linguistic context find a hard time understanding. I started thinking about writing this book in around 2010. And that was after several encounters with people who visit Uganda. And the first observation they make about the Ugandan society is how its people communicate, especially in the language called English. Now, many of them tend to be surprised, I must say pleasantly, because actually they think that it's a cool way to speak the English language outside the globally accepted standards. But all of them tend to say that there is a very strange flavor to the variety of English spoken in Uganda. So after hearing about that for many years, since I started working and interacting with people who visit this country, and also actually monitoring social media chatter among the Ugandans themselves, including my friends, we've always poked fun at each other on the fact that we do not speak the so-called Queen's language as we should. And so I thought that maybe it's worthwhile to actually explore this more and find out what this strange variety of language is about, and maybe come up with explanations to the uninitiated, people who are not Ugandans and who come here occasionally to visit or as tourists. To provide a standardized kind of thing to explain this variety of English, and actually to celebrate it with just a few disclaimers, because my view is that it's not a terrible thing. It's not happening here for the first time. It happens in many contexts where the English language is introduced and local people are made to speak it when they have their own indigenous languages. You can never have it spoken the same way like it is in England. The key feature of UgLish is the literal translation of things, of words, of phrases, with literal or no regard to context, which is a very important thing in translation. Now, it clearly shows you that when Ugandans are speaking English, or when they want to express themselves in English, they first think about the expression in their mother tongue and then transform it into English. Now, there is a thought process going on here in the speaker's brain. Remember, this is the first interface he's having with English. He has to learn it in order to cope with life, because this is an English-speaking country. Officially, English is our official language. But they were not born speaking this. They didn't grow up speaking this language. They started using English when they went to school. And if you remember very well, actually, some kids are punished when they use their vernacular or their indigenous languages in the school compound. So this Ugandan grows up knowing that it's almost a crime to not to be able to speak English as they are expected to do. But of course the reality again comes in, and because of the not so sophisticated ability to actually contextualize the different phrasing and the articulation of issues, they end up actually speaking English in their local language. That's what I call it. So that's why you find a lot of direct translation, or what more formally they call literal translation, changing word for word. I think the most interesting one for me at least, and this is because of the creativity Ugandans employed to come with that word, is the word ditutha, which simply means a gold digger. And of course the other aspects of the word, toothy, things like that. The reason I like that word is because they get the local concept of teeth, of the act actually, the figurative reference locally to that act and then tried to turn it into English. I think that's it, a work of a genius, if you like. Because as you know, to be truth, to gold dig in some of the Uganda maxims or some of the local language parlance, it simply means they will use the phrase like removing teeth from someone. One of them is escort, an escort to mean something like a snack that you eat alongside tea when you're having the tea or coffee. And as you can see, literally, actually, there is a reason why we call it an escort. It comes directly from a certain dialect, the local dialect, whereby people say that when you are eating something is like escorting or whatever escorts they are. I'm not sure, but an escort, or sometimes the more sophisticated UgLish speakers call it an accompaniment, you know. Now, there are many people who don't think that is wrong English, and if you use that everywhere around here, people will know what you are saying. If you use it outside Uganda, I'm afraid you might need to clarify a little more, whether you are meeting a convoy or something. So there are these ones we use which comes through direct or literal translation of indigenous languages, like meeting a person you've never seen or you haven't seen for a while and you say they are lost. Something like when you want to move to another place and you say you are shifting. You know. Now some of that is so mainstream, there are few people who think they are not right English. You know, there's almost a very, very small, fine line for people who are not so much into languages to know that these are not right. But they use them not just in speech, but also when they are writing to other people. Initially, it was the foreign press that was very interested in this. I don't know how many people called me to discuss this on British and American news channels, because I thought, I don't know why, but I guess because they thought it was something funny and interesting. It was a bit surprising, but actually the reaction of the local readers to this. For the foreigners, I could understand, because this is, well, some of them were hearing this for the very first time. But for the locals, I guess, this is my hunch, why the reaction was so like unbelievable at first, and then later they joined in the fun and started quoting some of the phrases in my book. I guess it's because of this thing where you're actually reading something that applies to you. Because even as I speak, and I give that disclaimer somewhere in the book, it doesn't matter how educated you are, how highly, you are still liable to using this kind of English. So I think many of the local readers could meet a word that I put in there and they say, oh, I think I use this all the time myself. I think that's what caused this kind of reaction. And I don't think anyone should be ashamed that they are unable to speak what they call standard. And I mean, if Nigerians can almost standardize their pitching, the Kenyans have shake, there are all these varieties all over. I think we should have ours as well, and probably campaign if needs be that the international world actually recognizes this as one of the so many varieties of English, or what they call Englishes. While I appreciate that this is actually something that potentially could be a matter of national pride, I mean linguistically, that we are carving out our own linguistic identity, at least when it comes to the English language, I also say that we need to look at the reality of things here, that the reality, particularly in employment, in business, maybe not so much in business, but in the official way of doing things, English, standard English, remains the official language of this country. So I was saying that for people who might not see through the thin line. What I talked about is the transitioning from the fun bit of it to serious articulation, where it requires that you seriously articulate issues. And there are many of those people. You are Ugandan, you know. I thought it would be a disservice to present this entirely as a good thing, you see. Because you see, now, if primary school children, and there are studies that are showing us this, and I cite some of them, like some of the World Bank reports, the WESO reports on education assessment, and all that, they still say that a primary 7 pupil in this country cannot pass a primary 2 level English comprehension test. Now, this one becomes a serious business. I thought it was not worth laughing at something like that. So that's why I said, could this be the manifestation of actually a problem? As much as it is a manifestation of an indigenous people owning a foreign language and turning it into theirs, owning it, could it also be a demonstration of something deeper when it comes to how our children are being taught, the teaching methods in the schools? And I said, if that is the case, and I do not give any empirical conclusion to that because I have not yet done an effective analysis of the available data. If that is the case, even if there's a slight chance that that is the case, then I felt compelled not to completely say that, hey, let's celebrate, we have our own dictionary. Because as I told one of the news magazines that interviewed me when the book had just been published, I think it would be a problem if the way you are communicating is not universally understandable, particularly in this increasingly global world that we are operating in. So it might be that when I speak with you with our UgLish, we totally understand each other. But you never know who is going to give you a job the next day. It could be an American guy who just jetted in, and you have to talk with him. So if you start saying things like accompaniments and escorts, and something that he does not understand, I think that can potentially be an impediment to one's odds of getting an opportunity. So that is my position on the matter.
I think there are certain bits of the language, some phrases that are already joining the mainstream, which even people who are language tourists, people who are so sophisticated and they think they can communicate very effectively in standard English. When we reach a point and we start failing to recognize that we have actually used a UgLish phrase, that means that phrase itself has gained so much acceptance that it's almost acceptable to use it. I would not be surprised if in the near future we start actually seeing this becoming more acceptable, either by the standards actually officially recognizing this, or by the language itself becoming so widespread that the so-called purist police will be failing to detect that a non-standard phrase has been used. So either way, I think going into the and with the explosion in the access to the internet, now actually this is even Twitter, Facebook, social media, this is even going to increase. If I write like another edition of the book 5 years from now, probably it will be twice the size, the volume of this. So I think that bit actually is exciting, and I'm looking forward, as a person with a passion for how languages evolve, I'm looking forward to that scenario where even more phrases and words will slowly join the next one.